Okay, welcome everybody to this scholarship section. We titled it Beginning Your Scholarship Journey, All You Need to Know. So this session basically is just to get you started with your scholarship application. And in this section, we're going to be telling you everything you need to know to get you started. Now, for people who had already started, you may have some of this information to yourself, but this section basically is just for amateur who hasn't started anything about scholarship yet, but they are hoping to get a scholarship. So once again, welcome. My name is Solis Ojotile, and I'm so happy to have you today. I'm so happy because I know that anybody who would want to join this section is someone who is aiming high, is someone who would want to take advantage of funding opportunities out there to achieve their study abroad dream. So welcome, and we are getting started right away. So yeah, first of all, I want to introduce my guest. I was thinking that maybe I should give them the floor to just explore, to just tell us things about them. But again, I could just say a few things about them so that when it's time for them to talk, if they want to relate anything to themselves personally, then we could go on with that. So first on my list here, I'd like to introduce Oluwatosin. You can see him there on the flyer, Oludayo Oluwatosin. So Oluwatosin is a mid-level professional in the energy industry. He has worked with Ibile Oil and Gas Corporation Limited and Boron Oil and Gas Limited also. He's a MasterCard Foundation scholar. Of course, it's on the flyer. He's a MasterCard Foundation scholar of Edinburgh. And he was previously enrolled in a one-year fully funded management program at the Nigerian University of Technology and Management. Furthermore, he has participated in 3 mini MBA programs from Lagos Business School, Harvard Publishing, and Techedia Institute, and in over 30 business-oriented and training online programs. Okay, please let me admit people who are waiting. I'm sorry. Okay. Oluwatosin loves volunteering. You should underline that he loves volunteering, and through this he had previously led over 10 high-impact social programs in healthcare, education, and climate change that reached over 10,000 students across Southwest Nigeria. So please give it up for Oluwatosin for me. Second, we have Mary Adeoye. You can see her on the flyer also. She's my guest today also. Mary is a public health practitioner with 5 years of experience implementing projects focused on improving the health and productivity of women and girls and young people living in underserved communities across Nigeria. Having started her journey as a member of the HIV and Ebola Prevention Promotion Unit of the National Youth Service Corps Club in Rivers State, she led the design of the club's Ebola outreach ambassadors, helping to recruit and train ambassadors and reaching 30 schools and 1,000 houses. Mary earned her Bachelor of Science from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. She has a passion for improving the health and well-being of women and girls, including sexual and reproductive health, and she's a MasterCard scholar at the University of Edinburgh. You can see that from the flyer as well. And also we have Mustafa Said. Mustafa also holds a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Development Studies. He's an intelligent, execution-focused individual, constantly looking to expand the frontiers of his burgeoning career. Mustafa is also a politically inclined individual. He loves to read news also, and he's also a MasterCard scholar. So these are my guests here, and they will be helping us to dissect wherever that is on the table today. They've experienced what it means to apply for scholarship and all, and with the experience that they have gotten, we hope to give you the best out of this section today. So thank you very much. The second thing that we are going to now is the real business, straight up to the main business of today. So first of all, we want to know what scholarship is. Maybe you mistakenly joined this section because you think they are sharing money or something like that, but we want you to know what scholarship means. So we included it here, and Mustafa is going to tell us, is going to take over the section of telling us what exactly scholarship is. So please, Mustafa, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Solis. Thank you for inviting me through this event. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mustafa Saeed. I'm a Mastercard Foundation scholar here at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, United Kingdom. I am doing a master's in Africa and International Development. So without wasting much of our time, let's see what scholarships are. Okay, scholarship is a funding that is given to students in order to pursue some kind of academic program free of charge. Sometimes it can be fully funded, sometimes it can be partially funded. But yeah, anytime you have a scholarship, most times that is what it means. Although literally it can also mean anything that has to do with academics. So for example, writing an academic paper or just contributing to the field of knowledge can also be regarded as scholarship. Yeah, but I mean, for the sake of this event, we would agree that scholarship is just a funding that you'd get to advance your studies. And so initially, it stems from some kind of ideological argument where scholars like Adam Smith argue that it is the kind of environment that you live in and the kind of training that you get exposed to that determines how successful that you're going to be in terms of profit making and income. And as such, education should be publicly funded, right? So people should have their school fees paid, or people should be educated in order for them to be able to acquire the skills that they need to prosper in the society. And that is how it comes. That's how the argument keeps on building up. Now, people, I think, arguably, the first scholarship in the world would have been the Rhodes Scholarship. Some of you might have read about the scholarship. It's arguably one of the first scholarships that started, and then some other scholarships also followed. Governments give scholarships, private organizations give scholarships, charity organizations. In the case of our own scholarship, the Mastercard Foundation is actually a charity that was set up in 2006 by shareholders of the Mastercard company. What they do is basically to impact the lives of people, basically in Africa. And one of the things that they're doing is to help students acquire a high standard education at some of the world's best universities. The University of Edinburgh is one of them. So for the sake of this program, I think I would want to focus on master scholarships, and let us just delve into it straight up. So master scholarship is basically a scholarship that allows you to undergo a master's degree with all expenses paid. And one of some of the most notable ones include the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, Commonwealth Master Scholarship, the DAAD or that scholarship, Orange Knowledge Program, Chevening, and so on. So these are all scholarships that allow you to do a master's degree with all expenses paid. Now, if we should narrow it down to scholarships in the UK, the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, and Chevening Scholarship are some of these opportunities that allow students from all over the world to come to UK universities and study for some given master's degrees. For Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, there are given programs only at the University of Edinburgh that you can be funded to study. And for Chevening Scholarship, I think every master's degree, every master's program in the UK is funded by Chevening. So long as you're able to win the scholarship, they'll pay your school fees, although there are fee caps on certain courses, such as a Master of Business Administration. I also have the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, which are scholarships that allow you to come and study for a master's degree. And most courses are eligible for that funding, but there are still some that are not eligible. So for example, every year the Commonwealth Secretariat releases the list of scholarships tenable at each university in the UK. Not each university, but some select universities are allowed to to give out slots for applicants from all the countries that are eligible to apply for such scholarships as the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. And if you want to get a scholarship for a master's degree in the UK, most times getting the admission is not very difficult, except if you want to go to like some of the most highly ranking universities. But most times getting the admission is a bit easier than it is in other countries such as the US, from what I've observed so far in my scholarship application. So if you want to apply, you go through the school, because the first thing that you should know is that you have to know about the scholarship. Most times, as these funding bodies are trying to look out for people to fund a study, they want to look out for people who really understand what they are going and where they are going to, and how the knowledge is going to help them to make a bigger impact in their respective communities. Because most times it's not all about you writing good English or poetry, that this is how I see the world. Sometimes it helps, of course, after you've done the work, but most times it also helps if you're already doing something, because that is actually a true demonstration that you are somebody who wants to do something. And so investing in you, like giving you that knowledge, is worthwhile, because of course you are going to yield a higher return on that education more than any other person who has not been doing anything. I hope you get that argument.
Okay, thank you very much, Mustafa. Okay, so we'll go straight to our next slide. So 2 ways to get a funding. We've already talked about what scholarship is, and basically it's getting someone to pay for your studies, getting someone to fund your education. And I'm very sure most of us that are here are looking for funding abroad. Is not Nigeria kind of funding, though the Nigeria funding is even limited and it goes to the upper class too. We know that, right? So that's why we have to go this way. How do we get a funding? First, you can get a funding by applying to scholarships. Public scholarships, scholarship organizations. Like Mustafa had rightfully said, there are different organizations who are funding, they are giving out funding just to help people. There are some that are by charity organizations, there are some that are by maybe universities, there are some that are funded by individual, some is even funded by alumni of different schools, right? Alumni can just gather and say, okay, let's put money together and fund people that are coming to the school. So it basically means me and my co-Mastercard scholars can decide to start a funding tomorrow. So we have different scholarship bodies who are willing to commit their money to helping other people. So we have the Mastercard Foundation. If you see on my slide here, I just use the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship Program as an example. Apart from the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, we have several scholarship bodies that fund people. So example is the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. We have the Chevening Scholarship. We have Erasmus Mundus. We have different governments who are ready to commit their funds, their money to helping other people's country, the citizens of other people, right? So we have different scholarship out there, so that if you want to get a funding abroad, you can apply to all these scholarships and they will take you. Please let me ask, Tosin, please, do you have permission to admit people? Yes, please keep admitting people for me so it doesn't distract me. Thank you. So we have these bodies who are there publicly, who are ready to commit their funds to helping people, helping students from Africa, academically excellent people, and people are ready to study abroad. So one way to get your funding is by applying to these organizations, this foundation, these voluntary organizations like Rotary. Yes, Rotary has a scholarship also. So it's just for you to look for them and then apply to them and they will give you their funding. Okay. Then another way to get a scholarship is by emailing professors. If you follow me on social media, on YouTube, I took a very long time to explain how this works, right? To get a funding, you have to email a professor. How does this work? We have different organizations, we have different companies who are ready to commit their money into funding research. So they give grants to professors, especially professors in STEM field, science, engineering, technology, and all of that. So they give fundings and grants to these professors to carry out research for them. And these professors in return need students who work for them. For example, master's student, PhD, who will help them with the research, who will help them to do some of the things that they want to do. So one way to get a scholarship is by emailing this professor. So I have a screenshot on my screen, and that's to give you an example of how professors like advertise their positions. So for example, this one says I'm hiring a PhD student starting in fall 2020, and also this is how it looks like when professors are advertising people that they are looking for. So if they advertise like this, it means they have funding that they are ready to give out to sponsor that person. So you should always look out for adverts like this, so you can always apply. And then some people do not advertise at all. Apologies. So you should always look out for adverts like this. But we should also note that many professors do not advertise their role. Some, it could just be in the university website that they will put it. Others won't even advertise at all. But if you send them an email, compose your email, tell them what your background is, tell them what your experience is and what you're interested in doing and what they are doing that you like. If you compose it, compile your academic CV and send it to them. If they have funding, they will respond to you. And if they want to admit you, they will respond to you, admit you. And most of them can call with full tuition. Others will decide to give you stipends. But most times, you have to bear the cost of maybe visa applications and the cost of flights by yourself if they don't have like fully funding to give you. So you should always look out for adverts like this, and then you can go further by going to their website, look for the names of the professor. Okay, let me point out, because many people ask questions a lot. When I made videos to explain this, somebody was still asking me, how do you get the email of these professors? So let me take time to break that down. Now, if you go to a university's website, for example, you go to the department that you are interested in. For example, if you go to engineering department, there is a section of the university website that will have the names of all their lecturers. Okay, it's not a Nigeria school kind of university. They have the names and profiles of their lecturer. Others will have another link that will take you to the website of those lecturers. And then they always take time to summarize what the lecturer is doing, their area of research, their area of expertise. They always put it there. And then the email of that lecturer will always be there. And then if you want to go further into exploring, you could just copy their email and then search it on LinkedIn, and everything about them will pop it out for you. So when you go to this section, you always see the email, and you can email them, tell them where you're from, tell them what your background is. You can add your transcript if you wish. You can write a motivation letter, and they'll respond to you. If they don't respond to you, email them again. If they don't respond to you, email them again. So that is it. 2 ways to get a funding basically is either applying to public scholarship, which is always very competitive. For example, the MasterCard scholarship, in which all of us are beneficiaries, had over 4,000 applicants. And then if you look at Chevening poll also, they always have over 10,000 applicants. So all these public scholarship are always very competitive because it's out there for people. Everybody is applying. So they try to just pick the best out of them. It means it's not everybody that is going to get it. Out of 4,000 applicants for MasterCard, they selected 22 of us. That's like, it's not even up to 0. How many percent? 22 out of 4,000. So the public scholarships are always very competitive. But if you are in a field where emailing professor will be best for you, emailing professors are not too competitive like applying to scholarship bodies. So anyone that favors you, anyone that suits you, please maximize them and try not to give up. I always say that. I don't know why I always say that, because I know that it's a whole lot of process. It's a whole lot of tough process that it requires not giving up to be able to maximize. So just basically 2 ways to get a scholarship is either applying to a professor or to a funding body. Okay, and that is the end of this presentation. So the other thing we are going to is required documents. So Tosin will take us through the process of the documents that are required. Okay, so let's go.
All right, everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for coming for this session. So I'm going to be running us through the required documents that we need for some of the scholarships we'll be applying for. Again, I must say that depending on what scholarship you're applying for, the required document vary across board. For MasterCard, the requirement document, even though it's almost similar to the one asked by Commonwealth or one asked by Erasmus, there are some bits of similarities and a wide bit of differences. But at the base level, transcript is something that is common to all of them. Transcript is just something summarizing all of your academic experiences or all of your academic grades, from the university. I know that quite a number of us will be familiar with what transcript is. And if you don't have one, you can always request for one from your school. You also need certificates of completion of your bachelor's or even of your master's if you are trying to apply for a PhD program. You also need a reference letter. A reference letter can either be an academic reference letter or a professional reference letter. And the difference between the two is basically on who is writing what. Professional reference letter is something basically written by your employer or someone who knows you in a professional capacity. Say, for instance, you volunteered for an organization and then they're trying to write something about the leadership, you demonstrated in the course of your volunteering, or maybe you worked for an organization and are trying to write something about your experiences within that organization. Things like that, they all sum up under professional references. Academic reference is just something written by a professor or your lecturer while in the university, or somebody who knows you within an academic context. So it's either professional or academic reference letter. Most times too, some scholarships ask for your passport or your national ID card. Just to be sure that you are a citizen of the country that you are claiming for the scholarship. And the reason most of them ask is sometimes scholarship body could be focused in probably Angola, in Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon, and it's saying that they want people only from those countries to apply. So sometimes asking for national ID card or your international passport is a way to ensure that it is people only from those countries that are applying for it. And most times also, they also want to be sure that you are almost ready at the time that they make the selection processes, so that nothing is going to be an hindrance for you, when it comes to booking your flight ticket and rest. Some scholarship also asks for English proficiency test. And by English proficiency, it could mean like your English medium from school. English medium from school is basically a letter from your department or from your faculty that is attesting to the fact that your undergraduate program was taught in English. Why some schools in the US or why some schools basically would take English tests from you, a vast majority of others from English-speaking countries we either ask you for your IELTS or your TOEFL result. So you want to know what scholarship you're applying to and what exactly they are demanding from you. Not included on this slide is something like letter of motivation or your statement of purpose, which of course is something summarizing your motivation for applying to a particular program. And then all of the experiences you've had in the time past, are all accumulated together, to make you a very strong fit for the program. Also, depending on, again, what program you're applying for, there are some of them that ask for research proposals. I remember in school, I was trying to apply to in Canada, and I was asking me, to develop a research proposal. They're just something technical, so that they are sure that by the time you commence your program, you have something you can do for your dissertation, or a research experience that you have and you probably would like to advance in it. I think to summarize, there are some scholarship, that also asks for, the financial statement of your family and stuff. One of them is American University of Beirut. Sometimes they ask for whether your parents have some lands or some cars, or just something, showing the statement of your account, just to be sure that, all of your profile match every single detail of the ideal kind of candidates that they want to award their scholarship to. So just in summary, what I would say is that depending on the scholarship you're applying to, the requirement document vary across board. So you want to, read through it and be sure that, you are well versed with exactly what they are requiring from you. So that's all from me.
Okay, thank you very much, Tosin. So this ones I listed are just like the compulsory things that you need. But remember that different scholarships takes different documents. So always pay attention to the one that your scholarship is requiring. Okay, so we go into our next slide. Notarization requirement. Yes, I want to point out that if you're applying to Asian universities, China, Korea, they may require that you notarize your documents. How does notarization work? It means that they want you to attest to the fact that the document you're carrying is real, is original, and it was issued by a public university or a private university. So to notarize your document, you have to meet lawyers who has this notary public. It's not every lawyer, it's not every law firm that has a notary public. So you should always ask to know if they have a notary public. If they have it, they will have the authorization to notarize your document. So it's basically like a stamp that they just stamp and then sign the document. So take note, if they ask for notarization, you should always know, because if you're new to scholarship and they write that English notarization, you may not really know what it is. So I said, let's talk about it so that you know that some scholarship, Korea government scholarship, Chinese government scholarship in Asian countries, mostly, they need notarization. In Nigeria, you can get it as low as 500, 1,000, and some people may want to exploit you. Take note and go for the best deal, because you need to save up money for other things. Okay, so we'll go to our next slide. And our next topic will be selection criteria. Mustafa will take us through the selection criteria that most of the scholarship will need to select people. Over to you, Mustafa. Thank you.
All right, thank you for getting back to me. Yeah. Well, so I have never sat on any scholarship panel before, but maybe from experience and from the several unsuccessful applications I've made, I think I have a few things to note under this. So first, academic excellence. This is very, very important. I can't overemphasize it. For you to be selected for a scholarship, although you might have heard people saying, oh, we don't need a first class, oh, we don't need a 2-1, oh, we don't need a high 2-2, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that. The truth is that as much as I have tried to apply for several scholarships and I got selected on this one, I know that academic merit has also helped, right? It has also helped because first thing first, academic merit helps you with the confidence most times. Most times when you're able to get this good grade, then you would have this sense that, I mean, I'm going to get it. I'm not saying that, okay, I'm not also saying that those who have like low grades cannot apply for scholarships, but it is easier for someone with a high grade to get noticed than someone who doesn't have a very high grade. Because most times the thing is that like my colleagues said in the beginning, like MasterCard scholarship alone, for instance, you have 4,000 applicants. Chevening scholarship at some point had 8,000 applicants, I think, last year. Several other scholarships that have several applications to review every year. And there are a lot of people that just submit anyhow applications, which usually like make up a very, very high percentage of the scholarship application. So most times, if you have a very, very good degree, then it is very, very likely that the selection panel would be like, okay, let's like just pay attention to this, pay attention to this first class product, or pay attention to this or that, most times. So the academic merit also, it helps very, very well. And by academic merit, let me just unpack it. So some people might have graduated with a very good grade, maybe 2-1 or first class. And for some people, it might be that they graduated with a good grade, but not very good, but they have certain modules that they did that are very, very strong, I think in almost every discipline, you see that there are certain modules or certain areas in that field that are very, very valuable by postgraduate schools, by employers as well. So the thing about academic excellence is that while you are submitting an application for a scholarship, you have to in some way pinpoint academic excellence, because at the end of the day, you're coming to do a master's degree, right? You're coming to do a master's degree, and that means going back to school again. I mean, we came here, and right now, as I'm speaking, I have like probably up to 100 or more than 100 pages of like textbook pages to study and prepare for my seminars and my tutorials, right? So the thing is that academic merit is very, very important. Have it, because that is what is going to like assure the selection panel that you are someone that is going to come and do the master's degree and be able to graduate, right? So you can either demonstrate academic excellence by a very, very good grade, maybe in terms of first class, 2-1, or you can, maybe you studied, let's say it was accounting that you studied, and maybe company law is one of the most important courses, modules under accounting, and you had a very good grade in it, even though maybe you graduated with a 2-2, but you have a very good grade in that business law. You can emphasize it, because remember, as you're submitting a scholarship application, that is what is called the personal statement, letter of motivation letter, statement of purpose. Different universities or different countries have different ways of calling it, but it's the same thing. It's basically an essay where you write your conviction for that master's program. You tell them where you are coming from, where you are going, and how the master's program is going to help you to get to where you want to go to. So in writing that is where you can highlight that academic excellence, even though they will see it in your transcript, yeah, but you can still emphasize it. So for example, especially those people who don't obviously have a very, very good academic standing, it is good for you to like state in your personal statement that, okay, I finished with the 2-2, but I was very good in econometrics. I studied economics, I finished with the 2-2, but I was very good in econometrics, or I was very good in microeconomics, and my grades have shown that, or I've taken courses where I got very good grades, like online courses, yeah. Then secondly, volunteering experience. Yeah, you need some kind of volunteering experience, and most times, so I might be a bit biased towards people that are applying for scholarships in the development sector, which is my own area, right? So most of the things that I would say, yeah, this is just like to give not a disclaimer, but just for you to know that most of the things that I will be saying will be influenced by the background that I have in the field of development and development studies. Volunteering is very important. Volunteering is basically you like doing some work free of charge. Maybe they're organizing a conference and you went and joined the team to maybe write concept notes for discussions at the conference, or you probably just help to serve drinks, maybe, yeah. But as good as that might seem, most times whatever you're doing is good for you to always like do something that would be at the core of what is being done. So for example, if you volunteer at the conference, but as a volunteer, you even help to like moderate a panel discussion, that is just so perfect. But even someone who just rendered support is okay, so long as you are able to pinpoint and just craft your story around the motivation that you had that made you to go and volunteer in maybe a cancer fundraiser event or something. Like it's about your connection probably to finding a cure to cancer, and that was why you just went and volunteered, maybe serving drinks at that place, just to like make the world a better place and just support the cause of finding the cure for cancer. So that sort of thing, volunteering is very important. Most times I tend to come off as this person who has volunteered several hours, but honestly, I don't feel like I volunteered that much, even though sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I have like had a lot of volunteering experiences. But I think most times what has helped me is usually that I just volunteer in courses that I feel very, very deeply about. So when I feel very, very deeply about something, I just reach out, I just reach out to the people at the center of the conversation and ask them if there are opportunities to volunteer. So volunteering is very important. Some people might go and teach, some people might be organizing sensitization programs, some people might just be helping to mentor younger students, like so several things that you can do as a volunteer. Then professional experience also counts. It counts much more than anything else. I keep on saying that I have submitted several scholarship applications, but this one is one that I got, and I think if there is any distinguishing factor in my application to the Mastercard Foundation scholarship, was my professional experience, because at the time I applied to the Mastercard Foundation scholarship, I was working at the think tank. I had also done a couple of other, I have had like tangible work experiences then, because I mean, I've been applying for scholarships since 2017, but it's not like I keep on submitting the same application. No. Like every application that I submit, there is something new that comes in. So for example, I looked at my essays that I wrote in 2017 and I'm laughing and I'm like, even if I were to be in the selection panel, I wouldn't have chosen myself. So professional experience is very important, because I mean, people underrate work experience, but work experience is almost everything. Like you can quote me anywhere. Work experience is almost anything, because that's how you would learn, like, okay, these are the skills that I need while I'm doing the master's program for me to be able to be impactful in this organization. Or, okay, so this is how the sector works. Although I studied law, but okay, this is how human rights advocacy law, this is how it works actually. Okay, so these are the skills that I need, like aside the things I've learned in school. So work experience just opens you up to how you can use your knowledge in order to be productive at the workplace, because at the end of the day, you are learning to work, right? You are learning something so that you can work efficiently. So I mean, work experience is almost everything. Essay quality, of course, very good essays, very, very good essays. If you write good English, it helps. Most times there are some people that you'd see, like, I mean, not trying to like belittle anyone, but some people might have tried doing a lot of things, but maybe in terms of English grammar, that is not very good. So, and your English grammar wouldn't necessarily stop you from getting a scholarship. I mean, we are all learning and we keep on improving. But the thing is that you have to know like how well you are doing. You have to know how well you are doing. I mean, like I write, but I know where I'm liking. And so, for example, I don't always feel like when I write something, it's perfect. I give it out to review. There was a time when I wrote a scholarship essay, and I think the number of people that reviewed it, the number of people that reviewed that essay were not even up to the number of people that reviewed my undergraduate thesis. That's to tell you like how much I always like. I'm huge on reviews, so essay quality is very important. Not just the English, sometimes making sense. You might be writing good poetry, like with good grammar, everything, paragraphing style is okay, but maybe the quality, I mean, the precision is not there, even though everything is okay. But you see that as you're reading it, you see, this person said she wants to like impact global health policy through finding a cure for breast cancer, and she's probably talking about maybe I mean, like there is something that you just say, as creative as you can be, there are certain things that you say that will just turn someone off, because by the time people start reading your essay, they will be confused. I mean, what does this person want? Okay. And most times you have to be very, very careful, because at this point you might want to like do everything. You might be attending several conferences on different areas. So you have to just make sure that whatever it is that you are doing, you have something that you are eyeing, and you can almost like connect the dots between everything that you've been doing. If not, your essay might not be concise, and the selection panel might be turned off by that. Recommendation letters, very, very important. For me, my own story is very, 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 very peculiar. I have someone who has written my recommendation letter about, I don't want to mention the number, but more than 5 times. He has written me a recommendation letter more than 5 times. And okay, now I want to take us back to essay quality and academic excellence. The thing is that whenever you're submitting a new scholarship application, you have to update not just your essay, but also your recommendation letters. Yeah, because I mean, someone who has taught you from undergraduate level, part 1 to part 4, maybe you've not even been keeping in touch. Some people are not very good at keeping in touch. Some people are. It's okay. I mean, it's a personality thing, right? But the thing is that if you are keeping in touch with people, they are more likely to always give a good recommendation of you, because people change. And maybe when you was teaching you at undergraduate, or when they are teaching at undergraduate, they only knew that you were honest, right? Or maybe you are punctual. What if you kept in touch with them like up to this point, like 4 or 5 years after you've graduated, and now they can talk about your punctuality in a different sense? Because I mean, punctuality will be written by almost 50, 60, 70% of the recommendation letters. But what if the lecturer makes mention of something that is very, very unique? Because at the end of the day, good recommendation letters are not the ones that say that she is very intelligent, she goes out of her way to help people, she graduated at the top of the class, no. It's about saying things that makes you to think that this person is going to actually, maybe let's just say succeed, like just say things like, I can't wait to see where the future would take her with her expertise in econometrics and time series data analysis and panel data. Maybe the lecturer might even go on to say things like, there was a time when I was writing an academic paper which I was to submit in so journal, and I was having issues like getting some of my variables correlated or something like that, and she helped me to like do this and that, and it worked out. So when someone wrote something like that in your reference, chances are that by the time the selection panel reads about that that aspect of your recommendation letter, they wouldn't forget about it. That means that it's outstanding because they are seeing something new, and that is what is going to like make them to have a second look on your application. And that is how people get to like scale through the NOPAL, because I mean, at the end of the day, 4,000 scholarship applications, only 22 of us were selected. You can imagine how a lot of applications were just put on the NOPAL. Some people, we attended interview with them, but they eventually didn't get selected. Not that they were not as good as us, but sometimes because of the few number of people that they want to choose, they probably only choose like people that they can remember, sometimes, because, like the human mind, it can be very, very subjective. And at the end of the day, it's still a competition, and there can only be a few winners. So these are the things that I think go into play in you getting selected for a scholarship. Several things. Sometimes even social media matters. If you've been doing something and it has been going viral, a lot of stuff, like people are aware of what you've been doing, chances are that you might also get a scholarship if you apply, because it's something that people should also note. Most times, I mean, even me, when I was a little boy, whenever I hear about people getting scholarships, I used to think that it's just because they were just so smart that maybe a university in the UK heard about them and they came and gave them scholarship and went with them. But the truth is that most times when you see people going on scholarships, they applied for it, they go through a process, write an essay, say what they want to do with the knowledge, and they eventually get selected for the scholarship. So these are the things that you should do. I feel like there are still things that I need to share, but I just hope that Mary comes back to me. But let me just leave it here.
Okay, thank you very much, Mustafa. We'll go to our next one. Please, if you have questions, start dropping them in the chat, please, so that when we are done with the section, we are almost coming to the end of our slide, we will attend to them. So please, if you have questions now, start dropping them in the chat. So yeah, there's a question for us to answer. Somebody asked me this question. To me, when I saw the question, I smiled. I laughed. The person told me that how soon can somebody get a scholarship? So I decided to include it in our discussion. So how soon can someone get a scholarship, right? I answered it, as soon as you do all that is required. And what is required? I do not always forget to point out how much of hard work looking for scholarships are. I do not forget to tell people, right? I don't at all, because it's a whole lot of work and you have to put them in to get a scholarship. It is easy to hear a scholarship announcement, I've won a scholarship, or it is easy for somebody to say, I've gotten a scholarship. It is more easy than the hard work itself, doing the hard work itself. So how easy is it to get a scholarship? Maybe please throw light on how easy it is to get a scholarship.
Oh my God. Hi, everyone. I don't want to project my own, I don't want to call it negativity, but it's a whole lot of work. Some people find it easy. Some people actually apply. I know people that apply on their first attempt and they get a scholarship. Like I know two people like that. And there are some of us that we have to apply to Chevening like 4 times, Erasmus 2 times, different scholarships. And when I eventually got this year, I eventually got 2 scholarships. So it's a whole lot of work. So you can't say you want to, there's no metrics for measuring how easy it is. It's a very personal journey. You can't say because it was easy for Solis, that means it's going to be easy for Mary. It doesn't work that way. Your scholarship journey is very personal. Just work and pray and hope that you become the selected candidate for whichever scholarship that you want to apply to. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yes. So I'll come back to this question, but then we'll go to essay quality. So Mary, please, it will come up, I guess. Please talk about essay quality. This section is not about how to write scholarship essay, but we hope that time will permit us, we can hold like a proper section on answering questions about essay writing. But Mary, please throw some light on essay quality and what is required.
Hi guys, thank you, Solace. Thank you for this opportunity. Like I told you when you asked me to be on this session, I don't really have a lot to say. So I'll be talking about my own story a lot because that is, of course, it's my story. So I can easily relate with it. Okay, so essay writing. Okay, just before I delve into essays, I just wanted to buttress something that Mustafa had said, that I think Tosin also mentioned it, that there's a lot of scholarship out there. Like there's actually a whole lot, like for every course, I think for most courses that you want to apply to, there's a scholarship out there for you. But what is the problem? There are a lot of people applying for the same scholarships, especially these publicly funded scholarships, even the ones that are privately funded, because for MasterCard Foundation that we are on, it's funded by by the private sector, MasterCard. Of course, we all know MasterCard, but they have a foundation. But there's a lot of attention on this scholarship. Chevening, I think this last application cycle, they had over 65,000 people apply for 1,500 positions. In Nigeria, they could only give 49 people. So sometimes it's not that you're not good enough, but there are like 100 people before you that are better than you. So applying to a lot of scholarships, of course, I don't mean applying blindly, that you just see one scholarship today, you apply, but applying to a lot that fit your purpose, your career, is actually going to help. Like don't streamline your application and say you might be lucky and then you apply to just one scholarship and you get it, but that is very rare. Like that is really, really rare. Okay, so I'll go to essay writing. I think essay writing is perhaps like the most important part of your scholarship journey. So going to be using my own experience. I had thought of sharing my essays, but people can be funny. I wanted to like do a screenshot of my essay for MasterCard, but when I knew I was going to be talking about essay writings, but I think I'll just limit it to me looking at it and then talking about what I did. Okay, so I actually applied to MasterCard last year. That is in 2019. The last but one application cycle, I applied to MasterCard. But when I went through the my essays that I wrote for that application, if I were on the selection committee, I would actually not select my essay because I didn't really put a lot of work into it. I looked at it, what I wrote in 2019 and what I wrote in 2020 that eventually gave me this scholarship. I saw the differences and I was able to make some points. I was able to jot some things down. So the first thing I did is I read the essay prompts thoroughly. I made sure that I understood every question. For example, there was one question that asked about leadership. Why you think it asks about leadership, and at the same time it asks about why you think you are qualified for the scholarship. So MasterCard is a scholarship that only gives my scholarship to first class and second class upper graduate. So I answered the question. I wrote it that I had so and so CGPA. I volunteered. I remember that I used a lot of numbers. Yeah, that is another tip for essay writing. Use a lot of numbers. Saying things like, I have helped several women. I don't think that is good enough. I don't even remember when Solis was reading our profile. I wrote something about creating 1,000, a design for 1,000 families or something like that. Make sure that you use numbers a lot. Sometimes you might think that 20 is small, but still put it there. And using numbers, I don't mean that you should inflate your numbers. So for example, you did a project or you volunteered on a project and you only reached 10 people. You now put 100 people there. Those people can actually know. For example, you would say you raised $50 for a particular project, and then you put that you affected 100 people. How can $50 help you reach 100 people when it was not a virtual program? So use your numbers, but don't doctor those numbers. Don't manipulate numbers. I remember saying I volunteered for, I think, over 1,000 hours for a particular thing. I also wrote that my undergraduate thesis was in so and so, which was linked to public health, which is linked to what I'm doing now. And I wrote that I spent over, I think, 700 hours on my on my projects, on my thesis for undergraduates, I remember that I linked it to how I started what I'm now doing in the public health space for women. So another tip I would say is I make sure that my essay followed a particular story. Like I evolved the story from, okay, so MasterCard is for people who ordinarily will not be able to afford the tuition of the school you're applying to. So my tuition is 24,000, and that is just the tuition without living expenses, 24,000 pounds. I would never be able to afford it in the next 5 years unless maybe a miracle happens. So I wrote the story of how I lost my father when I was 8. You might not have lost your father. And the fact that you actually work and you're earning money doesn't mean that you're not qualified. So I've heard people say MasterCard is for people who are poor. That is not true. But you should be able to demonstrate that without the scholarship, you will not be able to afford the tuition. So I remember that I wrote that I lost my father when I was 8 and it affected my family's income. I had to support myself in school somehow. Of course, my mom was paying my tuition, but I had to volunteer. I remember Mustafa talked about volunteering. So for every essay, you bring in the things that you have done, and please don't think that you've not done enough. I would hear some people talking about how I have an NGO, we have helped women, but I think my story is not good enough. I feel like I've not done a lot in this space. Even if the only thing you've done is 6 people, sometimes you might have only reached 6 people, but those 6 people, what if they've reached 10 people each? If one person reaches 10 people and there are 6, that means you've reached 60 people plus 6. So this is a ripple effect thing. Don't think that you've not done a lot. Just make sure that I encourage stories a lot. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should turn your essays into story, but make it about yourself. Some people, they would ask them to write about their leadership journey. And then they'll say, oh, they were trained on leadership by so and so academy. Okay, so after the training, what have you done that shows that you are a leader? Okay, so you need to evolve, like make sure your story evolves. And remember, I said that you should read the prompt thoroughly. Don't answer what you were not asked. If they say write about your leadership journey, you don't need to write about your suffering. Of course, you might write about your suffering, but link it to leadership. Make sure that everything you're writing is linked to leadership. I also used key points a lot. Before you start, don't just go straight to the essay. Develop the point that you want to write, the point that you want to develop. So I started by saying, okay, I will talk about my journey in my family. That was because of the question that they asked. If they didn't ask you anything about your background, why your background or has impacted, don't answer that. Make sure that, and even if you want to use your background as a pointer to why you are qualified for the scholarship, make sure you are linking it back to the question that they ask. So make sure you develop points. You can say the first point you talk about your background, then link it up to why you studied what you studied. So I studied microbiology in my undergrad. And if you know about microbiology, it's not really a core public health course. It's very medical. You do things like studying Ebola, studying different diseases, studying diarrhea, studying stuff around that. But I was able to link that to my public health journey. So public health was one of the courses that I did in school when I was doing my undergraduate. So I linked it to why I'm doing public health now. I said it was during one lecture, I talked about my lecturer, how he impacted me, how he taught us about public health and epidemiology. So I linked it to why I did my thesis in that field. So you should be able to link everything that you're writing in your essay to the question that was asked. And another thing is that you should use numbers. I think I already talked about that before. Use a lot of numbers, use statistics. You can say, if you have done a program for like 20 people, okay, for example, I got a grant in 2019. I remember that was like part of the things that I wrote during my essays, and that I also talked about during my interview. Like I built my interview around that grants that I got. So I wrote that I raised $5,000 through the Women Deliver Young Leaders program, and I used it to train 32 people so and so in so and so schools under 12 months, and they were able to do so and so. I remember I also wrote somewhere that during COVID, I was able to change the strategy of my office to so and so. So use a lot of numbers. At the end of the day, we reached 600 girls instead of reaching 200 girls. So use a lot of numbers, but don't doctor those numbers. Don't manipulate the numbers. Use numbers, use statistics. You can also use like personal story. I remember talking about one of the participants of a training that I led, and how the trainee has now become a trainer and is now doing big stuff in that field. So use your personal story, but don't, these people can tell when you're actually lying. I think that is something I have discovered. They can tell when you're lying. Like, for example, you finished school in 2019 and you say you've reached 100,000 people and you started your volunteering journey in 2019. How is it possible? They want to look at how you were able to do that when it's not as if you were doing something virtually online. Maybe you said you were involved in community development services and you've reached 100,000 people. How were you able to do it? What resources did you have? So they can tell when you're lying. And I think I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just give my last point on essay writing. Rewrite, revise, and then rewrite. You write it, you don't just submit your first draft. I remember Mustafa talked about showing to people who have been on this scholarship journey, people who have gone ahead of you. You might be lucky and you have 1 or 2 mentors and you can show them, and sometimes they will not even have time, but make sure that you rewrite, you revise, you can watch YouTube videos. A lot of people, Solace's YouTube channel, I'm sure she's going to share the link with you guys. You should watch, I know somebody that who does, I think her YouTube channel is AFM Stories. She talks about Chevening, how you can write. She actually picked the Chevening essays one by one, the leadership essay, the networking essay. So you can look for people like that on YouTube. And even if you don't have the opportunity for them to mentor you directly, you can watch their channels, read their blogs, read what they have written on Medium, on LinkedIn, to have like an idea of what it takes to write winning essays. I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that you can actually write winning essays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. So I want to add 1 or 2 things. This is not a proper essay section. We hope to have that very soon. But I want to add something that you should avoid writing quotations in your essay. It is not, you are not writing a paper. You are not writing an academic writing. You should stop going to quote everybody that you know, what Shakespeare said, what Aristotle said, and what everybody said in your essay, and do not duplicate the essay questions for them. So take note of that. And also, one of the things I used personally is that for every scholarship I applied to in 2020, I looked for the person that has gotten the scholarship. Yes, it was a full-time job I was doing, applying for scholarship. So I reached out to Mastercard scholars who have won the scholarship. I reached out to Chivney scholars who have won the scholarship. I reached out to Global Korea scholars who have won the scholarship. And if you want to reach out to scholars to preview your essay for you and help you check your essay, you should write your essays in time so that you can give them to help you proofread them. So those are the tiny points I wanted to add before we go on. So I want to answer this question. As soon as you do everything that is required, it is very possible for you to get a scholarship, but there's no timeline for you getting a scholarship. All of us, we have rejection stories. We'll just use like 5 minutes to talk about rejection stories so that when you want to give up on scholarships, you wouldn't give up. So I started applying for scholarships in 2019. In that 2019, I applied to 4 scholarships. I got rejected. In 2018/2019, I got rejected. 2019/2020, I applied to another 4, I got rejected. Then 2020/2021, I applied to almost 5, then I got 2. So that's my journey. I started applying since 3 years ago, but it's this year that it happened for me. Tosin, quickly tell us your story. How many scholarships did you apply to? How many rejected you? And how many did you get?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I can't remember precisely how many I applied to, but I think there are quite a number of them, and it was only one that worked out.
When did you start applying generally?
From 2018.
2018. Mustafa, please.
Yeah, so I'm trying to respond to your question there. What was the question?
I said, when did you start applying to scholarships? And how many rejections did you get? And how many scholarships worked for you?
Well, it depends. It depends, to be honest. So like I can answer this question in different ways. I started my first scholarship application was in 2011, secondary school scholarship.
Oh my God.
Yes. And then, so maybe for secondary school, 2011.
Postgrad.
Then postgraduate, 2017 was when I submitted my first scholarship application, which was unsuccessful.
Mary, can you share yours?
Yeah, okay. So I started applying since 2016. Yeah, I've been applying since 2016. I applied to like Chevening 4 times, like that's 4 years. Applied to Commonwealth, Erasmus, applied to some schools in Canada, applied to a school in the US. Eventually I got that, and I was given like a very huge tuition waiver. And if I didn't get MasterCard, I would actually have gone to that school in the US. But applied to MasterCard in 2019, applied in 2020, and I got the 2020 cycle. So applied a lot of times, and I have a lot of rejections. I've lost count, but to just give a number, I think I should have like 20 rejections.
Okay, so I just made them to share this so that you know that it's not bread and butter kind of journey. It's not milk and honey kind of journey. All of us here, every one of us had our share of rejections. So if you're thinking of giving up, know that people were rejected and at some point they got it. So what is required is patience. You need a lot of patience. Yes. So applying for scholarship is more like a full-time job. You need a lot of patience because you could think that you've given your best towards a particular application and then you get rejection. Another one is passion. Yes, you need passion. It's easy to say I want a scholarship, but you're not passionate about it. Now, I always say, when I started applying for scholarship, I did not know anybody who had gotten a scholarship, both online and offline. I didn't know a single person, but I knew I had the passion to get the scholarship. Google was always there, and I was asking Google. I didn't know anybody to even ask a question. I didn't know there were sections like these people were holding to give us scholarship information. But I was always there going to browse about scholarship. And the first scholarship I got to know about was the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship. I applied and they rejected me. But that paved the way for me to meet other people, network, get into other scholarship section. Even this MasterCard scholarship that I got, I was in one Chevening group and someone just said, have you guys heard from MasterCard? And I said, there's a scholarship called MasterCard. I went on Google, MasterCard scholarship, and every information I needed about MasterCard popped up. And here I am, a beneficiary of MasterCard. So you need passion. Is it just said, I want a scholarship? But no, it is not a decision, a journey you want to make and be sleeping and be relaxing and want somebody to put the information in your mouth. You should be passionate about it and be ready to do everything, including watching all YouTube videos, reading all the blog posts, attending seminars like you are now, you're in the right place. So please, you need a lot of passion. You need determination. I cannot even overemphasize that. You need a lot of determination. Yes, the journey is tough. The truth, that's the truth. The naked truth is that the journey is tough. You are competing with millions of people who want that thing. So you must be able to stand out. Hard work, yes. Scholarship journey comes with a lot of hard work. When I was applying to the Korea government scholarship, their system is different from applying to the UK and US because Korea government scholarship deals with hard copy. UK and US gives you leverage, and other countries, they give you leverage to upload those documents online and all. But you see the Korea government scholarship, you have to go and print out the documents, file them, go to a DHL, a other logistic company to send them down to Korea. So it requires a lot of hard work. Notarizing documents, you know the money that is involved. I had to notarize documents, 1,000 each. That is 10,000 naira. Just because I wanted to spread my tentacles so that if they reject me for one, I'll have an option for the other. And I had to do that. Other scholarship like the Chinese government scholarship, they'll require that you go and get a medical certificate or medical test, and you have to do that. They also require that you get a police report. These are the documents that, and please do not neglect any requirements, even if they say it's optional. Do not neglect it. Go and do it because you are competing with a lot of people. So scholarship journey is hard work. I was applying for the Korea government scholarship, and to select list of school that I know will favor my field, which is more like humanities, because I know that a lot of field favor STEM field, especially Asian countries. They are all very particular about STEM field. So I was applying for a course in humanities and social sciences, and I knew that I needed to do extra to get it. So I was looking for a school that will favor me with my course and not choose a science student over me. So I had to go through like 300 universities. The document is so bulky. And I spent a whole week, I would not sleep. My eyes were bulging out because I needed that information. This is a lot of hard work that people are putting on. And then when I talk about my experience, and I came here and I knew that Mustafa, my friend, has read about Chivni history since 1980. I say yes. So when you think you are doing something, know that people are doing like twice and 100 times of what you're doing. I told Mustafa, it means that the kind of hard work I think I put in, you have not even put it, because Mustafa was basically narrating the whole history of Chivni for me because he has done his research. So you have to put yourself out there, do the hard work. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't. It is a lot of hard work, and you have to keep doing it till you get it. So what's next? What's next after this section? Let me tell you, the only difference between you and the person that have not gotten, the only difference that will make, that this section will make for you, is that you have this information. I mean, what's next, right? There are lots of scholarships on Google. All you need is just that keyword. Seriously, you don't need anybody to send you a scholarship link. You don't, because Google have the answers to all the scholarship link you're looking for. Now, I posted almost 20 or 30 scholarships. If you're following me on social media, on Facebook, and you are in the Telegram channel, I posted almost 20 or 30 of the scholarship links there, scholarship names of the scholarship. All you need is just to go and type the name on Google, and the website will pop up. How to know an official website? It will always end with the keyword of that country. For example, a scholarship in Korea will end with KR, something like that. A scholarship in UK, an official website will end with UK, like .co.ed.uk or something like that. So what's stopping you is just typing that keyword on Google. I said it. The scholarship I had today, nobody sent me the link. I just heard somebody say, have you heard from MasterCard? I went to go and type MasterCard scholarship, and I got all the information you need. So see the image that is in this my slide. They said, never stop, never stop, never stop. If you stop, if you give up, you are not going to have a success story. So when it comes to scholarship, please don't stop, don't give up, and you are going to get it. So we'll go straight into answering your questions. Okay, this is 9:17. I think we can use 30 to 20 minutes to quickly answer the questions. Okay, the person that is asking for the slide of the meeting is on record, and I'm going to post the video on YouTube. So please join Scholars In, so that I'll drop the link there, and you could always go back to watch this if you need any other information. Okay, I see that someone has replied this one. Given the competitiveness of MasterCard or public scholarship, how can someone chip in to become a beneficiary? We've answered them in this section. Hard work, passion, determination. Do something to stand out. Can you apply on the last year of undergraduate medical school, or should you graduate first? Okay, for any scholarship that you want to apply to, all you need is your transcript. So as soon as you can get your transcript, you can apply. You need your transcript to apply for the scholarship. And then I must point out that MasterCard has some particular courses that they admit. So always check to get all this information, okay? I've searched for scholarships so many times, but I've failed to see scholarships offered to undergraduate. Most scholarships only cover PhD, MS, MA. Yes, they are undergraduate scholarships. I'll mention the one I know. The Korea government scholarship offers undergraduate scholarship. You should look out for November. I think it will be open by November. Does anyone know any undergraduate scholarship that you want to add to the list? My panelists.
Yes, so I mentioned that MasterCard has an undergraduate scholarship. What I'm not sure about is if this current set are like the last cohort. Well, I might find out and relay it with you, Sole, so you can tell everyone on the platform.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. Also, asking about undergraduate scholarships. I think there is. You might want to check. Yeah, I don't have the link now, and Sole said that whatever you want, you can just search on Google and you get it. So there is the New Zealand Overseas Development Fund, or New Zealand Development Scholarships. I think that's the name now. So you can search. I think they have undergraduate scholarships, But how you get the scholarship, how to apply, that one I'm not sure. But I know that the New Zealand government is offering undergraduate scholarships, and I think Nigeria is eligible. So you might want to check. And there are other undergraduate scholarships as well. So just search on Google undergraduate scholarships in the country. Because so one good thing about scholarship is that you can be ambitious and you can be selective, you can be choosy. You can decide to say, okay, this is the kind of scholarship that I want. So for example, you keep on asking like scholarship in Canada. Like, how do I study in Canada? How do I study in Canada for free? Like, how do I attend a Canadian university with some kind of funding? So you can do that with scholarship. Once you're able to put in the hard work, yeah, you can get it. So there are a lot of undergraduate scholarships, but it's a bit very tricky. It's a bit more difficult than masters, to be honest, especially because you are dealing with younger people who might not have a good profile to compel the selection panel. So yeah, it needs a lot of intention and early preparation.
Yeah, thank you for chipping in that, Mustafa. Okay, someone is asking if a good grade can secure a direct PhD. I see that Tosin has replied the person. Yes, by good grade, I want to imply that you mean first class, right? Okay, if you have a first class, you can get a PhD, direct PhD. Look out for scholarship in the US. I have a friend that did not do any masters and he got a direct PhD this year, direct PhD, and is a first class graduate. So if you have a first class, you should check out for universities in the US. Our scholarships offered every year. If I miss the application deadline this year, can you apply for the next? Always check the website for information on the deadline and the time they are going to open the scholarship. And subscribe to scholarship newsletters. We have Opportunity Desk. We have, please add to the list people who email the links of scholarship to you. We have social media pages that tweet about scholarship. We have people who tweet about scholarship. So try to follow them, try to subscribe to this newsletter, and they'll be dropping every opportunity on your email for you, so you can always check it. So check with the scholarship, but most scholarship mostly happens once in a year. So if this application window closes, you wait for next year.
Yeah. And you're forgetting they should subscribe to your channel as well, because
yes, subscribe.
You're a new scholar with fresh experiences. So I guess
you can find me on YouTube. With Solace, or just search
apply. I mean, they should subscribe to your channel and watch out for the videos that will be coming in the next 12 months.
Okay.
What's the name of the channel?
I haven't seen a 2-1 that I've gotten. It's so suggestively. I haven't seen a 2-1 that has gotten a direct PhD, but you can check out for it. Okay, this is not an SOP section, the person that is asking about good SOP, but you can go on blog post on Google to search some tips that you can use in writing your essays. Okay, we hope to have a full essay section. Okay, can a HND holder apply for master's program? Yes, I saw someone's story, a Chevening scholar that got Chevening scholarship with HND. So you can search Sussex story like that. Maximize the tool that the internet gives you. Please maximize it very well. Instead of staying on one app and be just this social media kind of gist and blog gist, you should maximize your data and use it to research some of this information. As a graduate of English.
Yeah, and Solace. Okay, sorry, I wanted to add also. When you talked about that research that people shouldn't, if you know that you want to apply for scholarships and you're interested in this kind of opportunities, you should leverage social media. I wanted to say that even this research that people keep on saying, the word research, read online, read up. The thing is that these days, something that people are not very much aware of, even this YouTube that people are using to just entertain themselves, you can use it to enrich yourself academically.
Definitely.
Like you can expose yourself to scholarships, to ways of writing, to ways of thinking, several things. I mean, so for example, even when I was invited for the MasterCard Foundation scholarship interview, I used YouTube majorly to do my research, funny enough, because most times when I want to quickly get a context around something, I just search on YouTube, because these days it's not just Google that is your search engine. YouTube as well as your search engine. Sometimes even Facebook and Twitter, you might just search, maybe it's a person that you're looking for a professional or someone that has been making, somebody that has been making comments in a particular sector and you just want to like talk to him, you want to find out about it. You just search, you go to Facebook, you search, you go to YouTube, you search. So YouTube videos are very, very good. It's not, I just want people, because some people I think don't know, to be honest, and it's good that they're here. So we get to share this information, that there is a lot of information resource on YouTube. Search, if you're applying for scholarship, search on YouTube, you get a lot of videos, thousands of videos telling you about scholarships, different kinds of scholarships, how to apply, when the scholarships open, how to fill the form, how to navigate the website. There are videos detailing that. So most times you might not be used to it, but get used to like searching from YouTube first. Whenever you see something, before you even ask people something, use your phone so that you don't get to like always be asking questions that people feel like you're just search by yourself, and that's
very correct. You're very correct. There are some questions that if someone who is really passionate about scholarship should have known. You cannot send somebody a DM and say, what is MasterCard scholarship? No, you'd have gone to do your research.
And it turns people off. So you want to always come with even the question, because like I said, people are very subjective. Even the scholars, sometimes they want to help someone who has already done the work. So for example, somebody is asking them questions that they can't find on the website, a very, very practical question. Or, most times the way somebody who has been reading or somebody who knows something ask question is different from the way somebody who doesn't know and who's probably not making any attempt to know more. Like there's a difference in the way they ask questions. So try and like read up if you have time. Now that you're just starting, for instance, read throughout the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship website. What have you been doing with your phone? Like read the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship website, like everywhere. Sometimes not just Master Scholarship, you might end up getting some kind of collaboration opportunities or something. So it's about reading, and that is the essence of getting the degrees. You've been able to think critically.
Talking about maximizing social media, I remember that this channel on YouTube, I subscribed to their channel and turned on the notification. So every post they post like this, I'm always there to watch. And guess what? It was through that channel, Scholars Pivot, that I got to know Mr. Hamed, I got to know Gifts, and they were the ones that prepared me for interview. So it's very, very good. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. So please maximize all these blog posts that people are posting. People are really out there to assist people, and it's now left for you to maximize these opportunities. Let me go on to my next question. As a graduate of English language, both as MA and BA and MA levels, but still want to explore the opportunity to get another master's in a particular aspect of English that is not taught as a standing certified course in Nigeria, would I still need an IELTS, TOEFL, etc. to apply? Okay, so it's basically asking that if he studied English and both BA and undergrad and postgrad, please, what advice do you have for him? Will he require IELTS and TOEFL? Both BA and MA. Those things. Do you have any information about that?
Again, it depends on the school you're applying to, and also where you had your bachelor's. So if you schooled in the UK, for instance, or in any like English-speaking country, most likely you might not need to write IELTS or TOEFL. But sometimes if you schooled in Nigeria or some other African country, and the school you're applying to are insisting that you must have your TOEFL or IELTS, then you have to write it.
Yeah. So when you see a scholarship announcement, I want you to take your time to go through the requirements. Now, some will give you exception. They will give you that, okay, if you do this, if you are this, we'll give you exception. If you're applying to UK universities, there are some schools that just need your WAEC. Others will need your NECO just to prove that you understand English. So please, you should always check with the scholarship that you're applying to see if they need that IELTS or they want to take another thing as a substitute. So if you studied English, for example, you studied English and you want to apply to Chevening, if their IELTS or any other English proficiency test is a requirement, then you have to take it. So that is what is involved. But what area should we focus on for more? We've shared them. for more chances of selection? I would advise volunteering. They pay attention to volunteering, though you can't neglect one for the other, but I still feel that they pay attention to volunteering very well. Professional experience is you making money in your pocket, right? But if you have an additional volunteering experience, they say, oh, this person is so generous, oh, this person is so very particular about other people, volunteering without getting paid. So as part of your experience, I think you should concentrate on getting at least one volunteering experience to add to your professional experience. And then essay is very important. In fact, all aspects we have mentioned is very important, because if you lag in one area, they could just use that to disqualify you. So if I were you, I'll work on getting all set and all ready. Okay, emailing professors. Hi, my question is, emailing a professor, is it restricted to sciences or even those with political science bachelors? Well, Tosin, Mustafa. Emailing professors, from my experience, works more for those in the science field, though there are still opportunities for those in the non-STEM field. But for me, from my personal experience, disclaimer, yes, my personal experience is that it works for people in science field more, because organizations and funding bodies are ready to give grants for people in STEM to carry on research, but nobody is ready to go and commit funds for you to go and research about one political activity in one country, except the government of that country is giving out funds for a research. So I think it favors STEM field more, but I've seen a couple of schools in Canada. I saw one professor emailing, recruiting researchers and master students in theater arts. So it's very possible. But the ones, maybe if I'm to categorize them, I'll say for STEM field will be like 70%, and then for non-STEM field will be 30%. I've talked about how you can get a direct PhD if you're a first-class graduate. Okay, I see that Tosin is helping me to answer some. Thank you. IELTS is not compulsory for all scholarships. It depends on the scholarship you're applying to. Please check.
Yeah, so maybe Solis, people might even be surprised that, I mean, for us, Mastercard Foundation scholars,
IELTS.
We didn't need IELTS. We didn't need IELTS, although I have taken IELTS before, back then in 2018. But to apply for the Mastercard Foundation scholarship, we didn't need IELTS. And even when we got it, there was a language condition that was placed on our award, but we didn't need to, we didn't need to provide IELTS to lift that condition. But those who had IELTS were able to lift the condition with their IELTS. But even if you don't have it, the university alongside the foundation were organizing something to test our English proficiency. And there's something very important, especially because IELTS is very expensive. I'm from Nigeria. I know what we used to spend 80,000 naira on a test that would be expiring in 2 years. And even before it expires, if you're unable to get the required band, you might be unable to use it. So the truth is that especially if you're applying to a UK university, people should know that IELTS is not a basis for admission or acceptance. It is not. There is always a minimum. It's usually for them. I mean, most times if you have done your undergraduate degree in the United Kingdom or in Canada or in New Zealand or in all those countries, there is a list of countries, I think about 11 of them, where English is officially their first language. There are a few British islands as well. They're like that. If you come from there, you don't need to take IELTS. But even if you come from Nigeria, most times I know that a lot of people are likely to fall under that. You see that somebody is just starting their application journey, scholarship application journey, and they'll be so pressed to
write IELTS. Yeah.
Please don't. I mean, this is just me advising you, especially if you know that UK is what you're looking at. Don't write IELTS just yet. Just wait. Apply for the scholarships. Get the scholarship first, or get the admission. For example, Chevening would allow you to choose any university. So for example, if you're going to the University of Oxford, Cambridge, the London School of Economics, and a few other universities that I can't remember, I know that these ones, you have to have IELTS. You have to have IELTS to be able to remove the condition of your offer because they will still give you the admission. I was accepted at the London School of Economics, but I didn't have an IELTS, so I was given a conditional offer of admission that, okay, I've been offered the place in the program, but I have to provide IELTS. And I eventually didn't end up getting the scholarship that would have taken me to London School of Economics. So I didn't take the IELTS. I mean, what if I had written the IELTS and then and then I couldn't get the scholarship. I mean, 80,000 naira is a huge amount of money. I would advise students to do two things: get an international passport, get your transcript. These things are very difficult to get. I know they are very, very difficult to get for some people in Nigeria, but get those things. IELTS, you can get it maybe later. By the time you know that you are getting close to getting the scholarship, you can get it. But I mean, just IELTS, if you like, go and get 9.0. Nobody will give you scholarship because you have 9.0 or 9 in IELTS. Nobody will give you scholarship because of that. Like we said, we all got this scholarship. We came to the University of Edinburgh. It is ranked number 5 in the UK by QS ranking. We haven't used IELTS to get the scholarship or the admission. So I know that it requires money, and don't start your scholarship journey feeling frustrated and financially drained.
And it expires after just 2 years.
Yeah, I took mine in February 2018 and expired in 2020, I think.
So that's the more reason. In fact, I am not sure you want to waste your money. If you're sure that you're about getting the scholarship, that's when you take IELTS. When I was applying to the Korea government scholarship, the scholars I reached out to, they said if I can take TOEFL, it was going to increase my chances. But see, I did not even have money. I said, don't worry, I'm going to apply without TOEFL. And with all my certificates, yes, let me not forget to mention, you see all those seminars you are attending that they'll give you certificates. It matters a lot. All those seminar workshops that you attend, they'll give you certificates in return. You attend on volunteering stuff, they gave you certificate. You won war awards, they gave you certificate. Not beauty pageant type of certificate or something related to academics. Please keep them. They are very, very necessary when applying for scholarships, especially to Korea government scholarship, Chinese government scholarship. They need this document to attest to the fact that yes, you did this thing. So it is very, very important. And please don't waste your money on IELTS when you're not sure you're going to get a scholarship, or you end up wasting it. That's if you have. Me, I did not have. Okay, someone is asking, is there an age limit to applying for a scholarship? You have to check with the scholarship. Some scholarships have age limits for undergrad, which is always 25, and then for postgrad, 35. So you have to check if the scholarship has age limit. If it doesn't, go on and apply. But if it does, please don't apply because you'll be wasting your time. Instead, use it to apply to another one that you're qualified for. Okay, let's go on with our question. Okay. You're answering to some, yeah. Do you need to gain admission into a preferred course of study in the university before you get a scholarship? It depends on the scholarship, right? Commonwealth will require that you need. Please always check with that scholarship. All of them, they have their individual requirements. What is applicable to Chevening is not applicable to MasterCard. So please check with the scholarship. Some will require that you have an admission. For example, MasterCard that we got the scholarship before we applied for admission. But in Chevening, you also have to get the admission, have the admission ready alongside getting the scholarship. Their MasterCard are different in different universities, is different. Their process of recruitment is different. In McGill University, you have to first of all email the department to grant you permission to apply to the scholarship. So please always try to check what is required with the scholarship that you're applying for. Then you can now go on to apply to them. How can you determine legitimate scholarship scheme? They are legitimate. How do you determine legitimate? Okay, if you apply, for example, one of my friends got an email one time that he has gotten a scholarship, and then he told me that he has gotten a scholarship and they are telling him to pay whether $100 or £100 before they claim the scholarship. As someone who has been doing the whole scholarship thing, even as much as I've not gotten a scholarship then, as someone who has done many research, I told him, forward the email to me. And when he forwarded the email, just looking at the email, the email itself, I already knew it was scam. So looking at, for example, if it's MasterCard, the official email should tell. If it's University of Leicester, you will see it, leicester.com.uk. You shall see that it's official. So please don't fall into the hands of scammers and agents who want to tell you that they want to give scholarship. No, that's one thing. Agents don't give scholarship. There's no scholarship that any agents will give you. And the recruitment for these scholarships are very fair. So please, no agents will give you any scholarship. No agents can give you any scholarship. So please do not use any agents to apply for any scholarship, because they will just end up taking your money and they'll give you rejection. So please, if you can do it for yourself, do it. No agents give scholarship. So you can determine legitimate scholarship by basically browsing it. You can check it through the website, the official website. If you see it, you recognize it. Official email, when they email you, you know if it's official or not. So that's one way.
I remember that scholarships are to be competed for. Like when you see people with scholarships, they applied for it. There is no way that you can just be seated at home and then they'll just send you a new, some email that you've won a scholarship. So if you know that you haven't applied to any scholarship, be skeptical. You have a reason to be skeptical. Find out what's happening. How can you just win a scholarship like that? So that's it. And then when you visit the website, check by the side, you'd see a sign of lock to show you that the website is secured.
Yes.
Yeah. Most public scholarships like Chevening, MasterCard, UK universities, and most like good websites, you'll see that sign of padlock to tell you that the website is secured. Then another way to find out is check their social media. For me, that's the first thing that I do. Anytime I see, even if it's a person, an organization, a scholarship, an opportunity, a grant, or anything, I'll just go to like Facebook or Twitter and just check to see if they have a profile, or Instagram. I'll just go there to see if they have a profile. Sometimes on the website, you are able to find out whether these are really like established or trusted organizations, or whether they've been doing it and how well they are. Because sometimes you'd see comments, if they are very bad and they've scammed people in the past and they have a social media, you'd see it. You'd see someone saying, I am not happy, so they did this to me, they did that, or like it's not true, or they are not responsive, something like that. You see it in the reviews if you search. On the other hand, if you see good comments, like you see comments, maybe the account is even verified that the owners are actually a trusted organization doing something tangible. They have the verified, but you know that it's a trusted scholarship. Also, you would also see the comments, people saying good things about them. On the other hand, if you search online, they claim to be giving scholarship. Maybe you search online, they don't have any presence on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, nowhere. They don't have any footprint. You know that they are probably just setting up, or they are not to be trusted, because these days social media is like a must almost, because that's where people get to showcase. If you believe in yourself and you know that you don't have any questionable things about your name, you should put out yourself there. It's people who are probably having some bad record that try to hide themselves. But if you are not a criminal, why are you hiding yourself? So we should see you on social media if you are to be trusted. And the nature of communication as well. So for example, they shouldn't tell you that you have won a scholarship through WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't tell you that through WhatsApp. No, I don't think so. And sometimes even the communication, sometimes if you see them speaking bad English, chances are that they are scammers. That's just the truth. Because like a good organization, tangible organization, will hire a professional to do their communications, and definitely they will speak good language. Even if it's not English, even if it's in your local language, they should speak the good language. They should speak good Igbo, or they should speak good Yoruba or good Hausa. They shouldn't be
careful.
like sometimes there are reasons for you to doubt, Yeah.
Be careful of bit.ly kind of Bitly customized URL. Be careful of them too, so that you don't go and click. Any scholarship you want to apply for will always have an official URL. So please don't do bit.ly blah 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 giving scholarship. No, it doesn't work. Thank you, Mustafa. Okay. How possible is the use of English proficiency statements? replacement over, please check with the scholarship. If they are taking English proficiency statement as a substitute for IELTS, you will know if you check with them. Okay. Mastercard Foundation and Chevening Scholarship, which is ongoing on your Next Scholars information. Okay, any information you need about Mastercard and Chevening, like we said, is always on their website. And I made a video on my YouTube channel, Sole Sojotile, on what you need and the requirements and everything you have to know about Chevening. You may want to check that out. Okay. All right. We are gradually coming to an end. Okay, yeah, I think all the questions, I've answered all the questions. So I just posted the Telegram channel on the chat now. I just posted it now. You should make use of it, okay? So is there any other question? I think we have come to the end of the section. And I want to thank everyone who is here. And I want to be a motivational speaker. I mean, if I can get a scholarship, I believe that everybody who puts the hard work to it can get it. I don't have money to write IELTS. The only money I had was just for international passports. So please don't give up on your dreams to studying abroad. Put the required hard work, and I believe so much that you are going to get it. Mustafa, please, can you give us your parting words?
Oh yeah. So the last thing I would just want to say is that when you start applying for scholarships, forget about the dates. You know, most times they advertise scholarships with the dates 2021, 2022 Chevening Scholarship, or 2020, 2021 Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, or 2019, 2020 Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. Forget about the dates, you know, just be applying because, so for example, there was a time when someone just sent me a message that I should like put them through. They want to leave the country, you know, but the thing is that you shouldn't do that, because I mean, what if you get rejected and you don't get it? What would you do? Would you stop applying, you know? Or which is fine if you stop applying, okay? It's fine. Maybe you don't want it that badly. But for us that wanted it so badly, we couldn't stop applying. Right? We couldn't stop applying. I still feel the urge to, you know, sometimes I feel like it's a must that I must apply for scholarships. And I can't believe that I'm already doing the masters. I am now seeing scholarship applications going, and I'm not applying. So don't stop. Don't look at the dates. The fact that you've started your scholarship application in September 2021 doesn't mean that you have to start your master's degree like next year September, because that's the application that is open now. Just apply yourself. Keep on improving. Keep on working on yourself. Build your profile. Like we all started just like how every other person started. We started with nothing to write on our CVs, struggling to write something that I was class rep in part one. I was this, you know, all those things, you know, we've all like struggled to write something in our CVs, but later on when we kept on applying ourselves, we finally got the profile, and we got an understanding of how things work. And yeah, we, as God will have it, we got the scholarship. So like, just don't give up. If you know that you really need this scholarship, like your vision, your life vision is dependent on getting a good training in the UK or anywhere in Europe or North America, then don't stop applying. Keep applying, but keep on growing. Keep on doing stuff to improve your capacity to win a scholarship.
Thank you very much. Okay, I just posted my YouTube channel link. Please subscribe. Thank you. Tosin, please, your passing words. Can we have it?
Okay, guys. Just in addition to what we've been saying all of this while, when you first apply, I mean, there are people who apply once and get it, but for most other persons, it's not always like that. So when you apply, take your mind off the application and always make sure you are always doing something that is building up your profile, whether it is to volunteer for an organization, whether it is to add a new certification, whether it is to seek a bigger employment, like in a senior role. And much more importantly, I would advise that whatever it is you are doing, do everything within your capability to ensure that your writing skill is highly honed. They will first of all read about you before they even invite you over for an interview. Do everything within your capacity to learn how to tell your stories, how to play with numbers, and of course, how to, paint a picture of the future, right, that you're trying to do. And I do pray that eventually when we organize this kind of program, maybe next year, you'll be among the panelists who will be sharing your success story.
Amen.
And that's it for me.
So that is the size of the seminar for today. I'm glad you attended, and I'm sure that you have learned one or two things. You've been exposed to something to keep on that search, and please don't give up, because your testimony is coming. If you see other seminars like this, please explore them. If you see videos, explore them. If you see links to helpful information, please explore them. You cannot get enough until you get the actual scholarship. The information cannot just be enough. Please gather the information that you get, and I'm rooting for you. We Mastercard scholars at the University of Edinburgh are rooting for you. Your testimony is coming soon. So thank you and have a beautiful night. Bye-bye.
Bye.